All right, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining the today's webinar, uh, which is basically, I'm going to talk about the TCL scripting and how it is going to help you to automate your regular stuffs when it comes to the PD or DFT or, say STA teams. So I see many people who kind of, try to do things, manually and, they don't be efficient. Me being a manager, sometimes my teammates they kind of struggle. So I always tell them, just learn the basics of scripting, which could help you a lot, and you can be a critical resource as well. Okay, because in the lower nodes, right, like there are a lot of things that pretty much we automated. Okay. Um, See, I can give a lot more examples. Let's just get started, and then as and when we move forward, I'll try to bring up some practical stuffs, and then we can talk. Okay. So today's agenda is going to be like kind of who we are, okay, and what would be our delivery plan, and it's like kind of we are coming up with a course, okay, and this next today's agenda is going to be pretty much we'll just walk over all these things. You guys will learn, okay. I'm sure I have a practical sessions as well, so I would be taking up a problem and writing a script in front of you, defining a problem in front of you, and then how I would be going about it when I wanted to write something and all that. So we'll try to go through all this. So please be patient, and then we I have blocked this calendar for 2 hours. So hopefully we'll be able to cover. Okay, and keep your questions noted so that like we can actually you can ask those questions in between. I would be giving the time, so you can ask the questions at that point of time, because I don't want the session to be disturbed, with your questions. I would allocate the time for your questions as well. Okay. Okay. VLSI mentors, it's basically founded by a team of professionals, and all of them are kind of working, and trainers with 15 years of mentoring experience, started in April 22. Okay, and our goal is to have only the 100% practical. So we don't believe in theory is available everywhere. Even the stickle course, you know, is available. There are a lot of materials available in internet, and then even some people have captured a lot of things in YouTube itself. But they all will talk about only the language syntax, pretty much. But here the goal is to take a problem that we see in the industry and write it. That is how you learn it. Okay, and we are actually kind of expertise in all the RTL to GDS implementation. Okay, including your synthesis, static timing analysis, PV, IR drop analysis, LEC, low power, and everything. So our team have handled a design frequency of up to 3.3 gig, and collectively we have done 100 plus projects in the last 20 years. So our team expertise is having up to 3 nm. So in that itself, we have kind of N3, N3E, and then N3P. So different technologies and the different process within the 3 nm itself. And what is that we are actually having now is basically PD mentorship and then EDA mentorship. So these two are actually actively running. Okay. Okay. All right. I'll come to this particular slide little later. So let's get started because I don't want to waste your time. All right. So tickle scripting. So I'm sure some of you have come to this VLSI domain thinking that I don't want to do coding. Okay, and I'm also one of them. When I started my career, I did not want to do any coding. So I came to this VLSI thinking that there won't be coding, but later, yeah, since there is only 10% of your work is going to be coding, but later I got interested in automation, and that is how I became a complete, designer plus automation person. Okay. Okay, so what is this TCL is all about? I'm just going to skip all this. Let's get into the real thing. Okay. Okay, one or more words. So tickle commands. So simple, right? If you look at, see, there is a variables that you want to set. Okay, so set is a, basically a tickle keyword. Okay, and project is going to be your variable. Okay, and then say whatever the things. It could be string, or it could be a word, or it could be a kind of say a number. That is going to be the value that you wanted to assign in this variable. Okay, now, so this one thing that together it's we call it like kind of the tickle command. Okay. Now let's say you want to this is the way we actually declare variables. Okay. Okay. First of all, why do we need to declare variables? Why we need to declare variables? Can't we do it like wherever we want? Can we directly use this value? So, a simple thing, variables. Okay. Say, for example, set A is 5. Now, any time that you wanted, you might be doing this, a lot of operations or comparisons or, anything, any sort of, operations. So you might be you can just replace this particular thing, the variable, basically you can use this variable as a dollar $A and you can actually do that. So automatically the 5 would be getting substituted over here. Now, if you don't define this variable, you know what? You can actually still go and get this done with value 5, but you might be doing that in the program 10 times. You might be using this dollar $a or a variable 10 times. So every places that you might wanted to have to change it 5 and convert it to 5. But now let's say this 5 becomes 10 at some point of time, or you want to keep, instead of 5 you wanted to keep it 6. Okay, now again you have to go and replace. So we try to create a variable which could be reused n number of times. That is the main reason why we go for variables. Okay, and so let's just, okay, now what is a stickle script? What is the meaning of tickle script? It is basically a sequence of commands which are executed in a serial manner. Okay, that is a basic thing. Okay, now each line treated as one kind of commands. Now let's say you wanted to keep two commands in same line, then we have to keep it like kind of say this is one command and then say set a is 10. So then in that case you have to use something called a semicolon. So each line is basically treated as a one command, but when it comes to adding having a multiple commands in the same line, you can actually use the semicolon. All right. Okay. So, are there any guidelines that we supposed to follow when you are choosing your variables and things like that? So, it is always good to have like kind of say set A and then 4. It is like kind of if you give only two, say set this one, but you have not defined anything. Okay. So you should the tickle always expects something like this. Okay. Just a second. I'm just trying to bring up my session. Okay. All right. So you can actually, once you are in the Linux environment, you can just type tclsh and then you can actually get started. Say, for example, set A is basically now 5. So now you wanted to print this, say dollar $A would, we use puts to print the informations. Okay. Now you want to print that. So it is like you see here, dollar a would actually print 5. Now let's say set b, you can actually enter. Now it says that, it's basically neither a variable nor it defined before. So now you want to define it properly. Say set b is equal to 10. So this is the way. Okay. Now say you want to print. Say usually people get started with hello world. Okay. So you can say like, okay, we are also done the same thing now. Okay. And coming back to our thing. So now you want to print this, a and b together. Say a is dollar a, okay, and b is dollar b. Okay, so it is actually going to print like this. Now see, let's see, some people wanted to, print it in a new line and etc. So there are ways. Either you can actually do this way. So this is one way, and then you can actually print it, in another line, or you can actually use slash n. That is like in any language how it is being used. Okay, so it prints in another line. Okay, so slash n is same as in any other language. And let's say now you want to print it using a kind of tab space. Okay, so you can actually make use of this. Say people try to arrange the things and print it in a kind of neat order. Okay. Okay, so this is another way where you can actually use slash t. Okay, now let's go back and then take a look at the slide. Okay, all right, so we have covered this particular part. Now let's say you want to use the variable that you have defined. Okay, now what is this? Set y is basically x plus 10. Now what is that it would print? Say set c. Now a plus 2. We have defined a is basically 5, right? So you have a is basically 5. So now what is the value that it would expect it to print? It is not going to print anything other than just this as it is. Because if you want to substitute, okay, then you need to put dollar $a. Okay, say set C. Now dollar $a, this plus 2. Now what is that it is going to do? What is it it is going to print now? It is going to print the same thing. It is just that 5 plus 2. Okay, it is just going to print 5 plus 2. Okay, now if you want to perform any kind of operations, okay, so then you need to use it in a different way. Okay, so we have something called expr. So so we have something called expr that is going to help you to perform arithmetic operations. Okay, now if you look at, right, say kind of expr, say dollar 5 plus 2, it is going, okay, dollar a it is supposed to be dollar a plus 2, it is going to be 7. Now it is actually performing addition. Okay, now if you want to do the same thing, assign it to a variable, say set c, then you need to use a square bracket which would actually invoke that operations or perform operations internally, and then it would actually assign it to the variable c. Okay, so now your c is basically now 7. So if you want to do any kind of arithmetic operation, you should always use expr. Okay, and you know that basic operations like kind of so what are the other operations? So you can actually do that. Say expression, say 5 minus 2, that's going to be subtraction, and then expressions, say 5 into 4, that is going to be 20. Now let's say you want to divide something. So expr, say 50 divided by 9. So it is going to return 5 because 5 times or the one which is completely, division of the number. Now if you want to get the reminders, so expr, say 50 modulus 9. So this is going to be kind of, giving you the reminder. Let's do this way. So expr, say 51 modulus, say 9. Now there is a remainder which is basically 6. Okay. Now these are all the kind of basic arithmetic operations that you can actually do with the TCL scripting. Okay. And we will come to, we will, use more on of all these in the real problem that we are going to solve. Okay. So now, so you might have a variable names, something like kind of, with the letters. Okay, it can be anything. Okay, sometimes even people get started with, in industry, right? Say people even started with, do the writing, say kind of underscore underscore a. Okay, say 10. Okay, so something like this also people do it because there may be a variables which someone might have already defined. So to avoid, to be different or unique from the existing program, let's say when you are doing, when you are loaded your design in the tool. Okay, it might have already loaded some couple of utilities and etc. What if there is already variable that is defined? So you might overwrite that and etc. So sometimes people, try to be different. They try to use it like kind of, underscore underscore. That means, okay, this is done by you specifically. Say something like that. So people use this also just to make sure that they don't, override anything that is already loaded in the tool. Okay. Okay. So this we just discussed. So set B, it is going to be returning 66. That is a number. And set A, and then it is kind of, B. It's just going to assign the B, not the value of B, because you have not added the, the dollar here. So that is when you add dollar, then only it is called substitution. So now in this case, it is going to be kind of, A, and then dollar B, it is going to be 66. Okay. And then you have a, it is kind of, dollar b plus dollar b plus dollar b. It is going to return this particular value. It will not be performing any kind of operations. Okay. And again here it is a kind of, 66.3. Okay. And then if you try to do something like this, the whole thing is treated as a one variable, so it will say no such variable. Okay, remember when you may have different things. Okay, so if you want, so this dollar $b4 is whole variable. It considered it as a whole variable. So you cannot, unless otherwise you have defined a variable with B4. Okay. Otherwise it will error out a message with this. Okay. I'll show you. Okay. Say for example, set we have A which is kind of, 5. Now let's say if I want to do this, say kind of, say puts dollar $a dot 3, it is going to print 5.3. Okay, now let's say puts dollar a 3. Now it says a3, there is no such variable. Okay, now how we can actually get this printed? Now I want you to, say for example there is a need that, okay, you want to print 5 and 3 together. Now how we can do this is, so print, so puts dollar and then curly braces a and then 3. Now that is going to print the dollar a which is treated as a variable, and then anything after that would be treated as a regular string or numbers. Okay, so now this is going to be another way where you have, bigger things where you want you it's a the variable is only a part. Okay, say let's do this way. So puts dollar a underscore is See, it is going to give you something like this. Now, the same thing that you can actually do is dollar $a and underscore is a number. So now you just do this, it is going to print. Now this dollar $a variable is being substituted over here. So 5 is a number. So sometimes when you are trying to print a message for debug purpose, you might be using this things like this. Okay. Or sometimes what we do is say kind of you might want to do this, say dollar $a, and you also wanted to print dollar $b. Okay, so we might use in the multiple variables which could be next to each other and things like that. So if you are actually going to add anything that extra along with this variable, always use this curly braces. Okay. Okay, so I think this we have just discussed some time back. So put all these things in a command, script, and then just source it. That is another way that actually you can actually run the scripts. Okay, all right. So whatever that we have done till now is we are just typing one by one. Okay, we are just typing one by one and doing it. Now let's say you wanted to put it as a script and run it through. You can actually say kind of open it like kind of test.tcl. That is a kind of script. So you can actually kind of so you can just add everything together here. Okay, and then you can just source them. Okay, so you set b 10 and then say puts dollar $a slash t and dollar $b. Now this is something that I put it in a script. Now let's say you might be using the tool. You can just actually source them. Okay, so you can just say source test.tcl. It actually prints the value. Okay, so whatever that you wanted it. Now this is the way we actually use the tickle scripts inside the tools. Okay, and it's just a sequence of commands. Okay. Okay, let's say now how you wanted to print. Let's say you want to print dollar $x. Okay, so how do you do that? So you want dollar $x, meaning it will be always get substituted. So dollar $a is dollar $a. Okay, and then say slash t slash n. Dollar $b is dollar $b. Now if you want to print dollar $b as it is, now how you do that? Okay, so 5 is 5, but I don't want 5, I want dollar $a. So it is something like this dollar, put a backslash that would actually, behaves like kind of, it actually makes sure the dollar is getting printed as it is. So that means there is no substitution. The dollar is being printed as it is. Okay, so dollar A is basically 5 and dollar B is basically the 10. All right, so escape characters. So something this, we call this as a kind of, say escape characters. All right. And so normally, so there are, different things that we have, double quotes. Okay. So anything that you put in double quote, it would be printed as it is. Now, okay. Anything that you put it in single quote, let's see what it is printing. Okay. So it is not allowed. Let's say you want to print them as it is. Okay, the whole line you want to print it as it is. So you put it in curly braces. There is no substitution. There is nothing. It will print. It will kind of it just prints everything as it is. Okay. So if you look at here, the whole thing is being printed as it is. So you may have a variables or something which you don't want any substitution to happen. Then you should use this curly braces where you can actually print that whole line as it is. Okay. So we have a double code which substitution takes place, and if you don't want anything to happen, no substitution within that particular line, you can also use curly braces. Okay, and there is one more thing which we just spoke about it. Say the square bracket. So what is this meaning of square bracket? When do we use square bracket? So the values that are kind of you want them to be invoked internally and then perform operations and then return it back. So it invokes a shell, tickle shell internally, performs this operation and then returns the value. That is a meaning. Okay, so square bracket is always we use a lot of square bracket in the tool. Okay, I'll show you guys in a while. Okay, you see here it prints 15. All right. So any questions till now? I think we have passed a good amount of time. I just wanted to take up any questions, if any.
Hi, Kumar, can you pardon once again this line, actually?
Sorry, what was that?
Uh,
Okay, let me just enable the line numbers. Yeah,
yeah.
now you can talk. Go ahead. What is the line that you are referring?
Um,
So you got it.
four,
Wait,
400, yeah, 400.
there is a voice. I'm not able to hear it properly.
Just a second.
So you got it.
Yes, you're audible.
Line number 400.
So can you show the slide in slide ones?
Oh,
I have doubt
slide.
there.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Previous one.
Can you tell me what is that particular section? Say this is
I think
kind one. Say this is
I think
two. Say this is three. What
I think
section you have?
sir, I think it is previous one slide. Just
Okay.
can you go back?
Okay.
Sir, here the sample command is second command is and the result is six.
I did
So
not get it.
dollar
What?
B value,
Okay.
yeah, the result is six result. Result six is there.
Right.
So that command dollar B value is getting four from where or
No,
previous
no.
one.
Hold on. See, there is a. Okay, it is supposed to be a dollar A. My bad. I think this is supposed to be a dollar A.
Okay, okay,
Yeah. I think I.
okay, okay, okay.
I think this is supposed to be a dollar A. My bad. Okay.
Okay, so
So this
thanks.
is the.
That's okay.
Yeah. Is there any other question actually?
Hi, sir.
Yeah. Hi.
Good morning.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Can you please provide the recordings of today's webinar?
I will try. Okay.
Okay, okay. Okay, sir. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. I think we were talking about this particular thing. So you may have any particular line which you wanted to print it as it is, so you can put it in the curly braces where it would actually just print as it is. There will not be any substitution that actually happens. Okay. Okay, all right. um, so we talked about backslashes and then escape characters and things like that. So I think we are done with this particular slide. Okay, and the one more particular thing that I wanted to cover is, say, sometimes what we do is we actually may have bigger lines. Say, for example, set A is, say, kind of, say something like this. Now, again, you have a backslash, you can just put it over here. Okay, so that means this both are treated as a one line. Okay, okay, so the backslash is basically going to, I need to check whether it is. Give me a minute. Let's try this. So we use backslash also a lot. Okay. Okay. You see here, this actually considered as a same line. Okay. So anything that you wanted to continue to the next line, then you can actually use a backslash. Okay. Now, see, sometimes why do we need this backslash? Say a simple thing here. See, you may have a tool commands like kind of, set clock tree options. Okay. See, you may have, okay, so you may have something like this, why do we need to use this particular thing? Okay, now set clock tree options, so you can actually say like kind of, say, target latency. It is going to be, say, kind of like this target latency, say 0.5 ns. Okay, now you might want to use this next line. Okay, so target skew, it is going to be, say, kind of, say, 0.05. Okay, and say max NDR fan out limit, it's say kind of, say kind of 20. Now, see, we use this backline, the backlash, okay, slash. Um, in the end, if you put it, it would actually, uh, treat the next line as the same line. Okay, so that's a basic thing. Okay, now remember, if you have a space after this, okay, there is no space here, but if you have a space after this, you will have very bad day in finding what is the problem. Okay, that is one of the things that people usually make mistakes. Okay, yeah, design is not defined, that's fine, but if you have it like kind of, say, let me just keep it here. So now in this case, let me just comment this out. Okay, now you see here, this kind of treated as a different line. Okay, now, in this case, if you don't keep any space, then it is going to be kind of treated as the same line. So usually what happens is in industry, you have a commands, and then sometimes people will, for better learning and, for checking what is actually happening, people do something like this. This is how I write scripts, and many CAD team members write scripts. So by mistake, sometimes people will put it like kind of, say a backspace, and it will actually not pass through. So what you need to do is you just have to go and, search for backslash, or the spaces or whatever. Then you would be able to understand. See here, this is the place where, there is something like this. So you need to be very careful when you're writing a script and when you're using this backslash and then spacing after that. Okay. Okay. Comments. Um, So you might have seen just now that, I try to add it like kind of comments. So now sometimes what I do is I actually go and write a lot of comments that, say it's kind of, for learn, for understanding purpose. Say I would say, okay, say this is See, for me, I may have, say clock trees, different clock trees. Okay, so I may, you can say like kind of, particular clock. You may have something that comes by default. Say clock ABC. Say get clocks ABC. Now, see, I can say like it's a kind of say custom insertion delay and skew requirements. Okay, for ABC clock. Say now you know that you are actually defining something yourself, or sometimes I even put it like kind of say since who's actually defining, it's kind of, you can say it's kind of me who's actually added this particular section. So comments is one of the valuable part where it helps in making your script readable. Okay, so you can say like kind of there's a custom requirement for this particular clock. You may have other clocks by default numbers. It may be say something like this. You may have it like kind of say point 0.8 or something. Okay, for all the other clocks, get clock star. Okay, but you are actually kind of for ABC you are defining it separate. Okay, so something like this, comment section would actually help you having the script which could actually much more readable, and what changes that is being went in and etc, all that. Okay, so that is one. Now, and I don't have, I have not seen defining multiple lines that are comments, but say for example now you wanted to add comment anything after this particular thing. Okay, say for example now here, now as I said, so you can add a semicolon and then say kind of a is 5. Okay, this is valid. Now let's say if you try to do something like this without semicolon, okay, then this is basically an incorrect definition. This is basically an incorrect definition. So you should actually take care of it. Let's say either you put the comments in the start of the line with the hash, or the hash should come after a semicolon. Okay, otherwise it will have a problem. Okay, that's on the comments. Okay, yeah, I think this is what we are talking about. And as I told, so if you add semicolon, that defines or say that's treated as the end of the line. So set A is 22 and set B is kind of 33. So these two are separate commands, and stickle commands it's treated. Okay, so this is actually kind of starting with the hash. So that is basically called as a it's treated as a command. Now this particular line is what I was just talking about. It would error out. Okay, and this is actually a valid one. All right. Okay. Operations, I think we have just covered it some time back. Okay. So, and remember, you need to use this brackets when you have to do multiple, operations, or, kind of one after other, one after other. So you can actually use this regular brackets if you have multiple things. Okay. So let me just show you this. Say, for example, expression, say 5 into 3, which is kind of okay. But now, say plus 2. Now, the tool would, there is something like high precedence and all that. But I always use this particular thing. Or let's say your expectation is 3 plus 2, and then, into. So you should actually use this brackets, and when you wanted to do all this kind of operations. Okay, and it helps in defining your what is that it's supposed to do first. Okay, which operation it has to do first and all that such things that you can you know tell the tool, or the compiler that this is the order, do this first and then do the next one and things like that. Say plus 6. Now I would actually do something like this. Okay. So you should actually, when you are doing multiple operations in the same expression, line, okay, then I would prefer you adding kind of, brackets and ensuring that the compiler does not get confused and you get the desired results. Okay, that's the meaning. Okay, so that is on that. And then you have got $b plus 2, so it's kind of 7. And then, so this we just discussed sometime back. Okay. Okay, now coming to the main part. So the structures, basically the controls. So any program that you take, there are a lot of conditional loops. Okay, conditions that we check. Now, so that particular thing here, it is, we have, kind of say if, okay, and then if else, and then for, okay, and then switch, and then break, and then for each, and then you have while, and then say continue, and then evaluate before executing. So these are all the kind of, loops or structures that we have in TCL. Okay. Now, so where do we use all this? Any idea? I'll give you a simple things actually. Okay. Okay, so there is a question that was asked in the chat. It is basically what will happen if you try to use. Okay, so the question is, say you have expr 3 plus 2. Okay, you know what, it would go and error out saying there is no such command, because what you are trying to do this is your this square bracket is going to invoke a shell and then try to do 3 plus 2 as a command. Okay, it would try to treat that as a command. See, unknown command 3 plus 2. Okay, so that will actually kind of won't work. Okay, so square bracket is only meant for getting the value, or doing something and then getting the value back. Okay, that is not defining your the expressions part. Now say there could be another way of you doing this. Say kind of 5 plus, say kind of expr 3 plus 2. This may be okay. Okay, but whatever the way you have tried executing it won't work. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about our loop structures. If, assuming that you have a design something like this, okay, now you have a lot of different types of macros. Say, for example, you have this particular macro. So let me just remove all unwanted things. Okay, say this particular macros. Okay, so now I have got this macro. Now, when I try to query, so the name of that particular macro is going to be, say, get attribute, say, get selection ref name. Okay, so this is the cell name, the actual ref name of that particular macro. Okay, now I want to do certain operations only for this particular macro. Okay, I don't want to touch any other macro. So that particular scenario, in that when you have to do something only for certain things, then you can actually use if. Okay, then you can actually use the if condition to define certain things. Say for example, now say here, say if dollar $a equal to 5, okay, then or say less than 5, okay, say less than 10, okay, now put, okay, do something in this activity, okay, a is lesser than 5, okay. Now this is one way of you actually doing it, okay. Now let's go and actually run this particular thing, okay. So a is 5. Now that is actually kind of printing lesser than 5. Now let's say set a is 12. Okay. Now let me just run this particular command. Now it is not printing anything because this condition is not getting executed because this is false statement. So this condition is becoming a false. Now a is 12. So you have actually kind of having only one condition where if it is less than 10, do this, otherwise don't react anything, okay. Now you want, let's say you want to print in other conditions also. So now see here like this, it's kind of else. Now oops, a is higher than, sorry, it's supposed to be 10, okay. So it is basically kind of 10. So a is higher than 10. Now this is why we can, this is where we can actually use your if else loops, okay, to understand, make sure your conditions are kind of clearly defined, so that like whatever the thing is, whatever the values, okay, if it is condition is pass, do this particular task. If the condition is fail, do this, or don't do anything, something like that, okay. So if and else would be used, say something like this, okay. So I would actually show you what exactly it is going to be, how it is going to look when I write a actual script for one of this practical problem that I will be demonstrating now in a while. Okay, so if else is something that would be useful, okay, and then again there is something called else if also. So now dollar a, okay, say greater than 10, okay, greater than 10, double and, okay, and dollar a less than 20. So in this case you are actually going to do this, say it is a kind of else, okay. So it is kind of this condition is a is lesser than 10, basically higher than 10 and lesser than 20, okay. In this case it is going to be higher than 20, okay. So you can actually use your controls something like this, and I will show you how exactly we use this if else and everything, okay, with respect to different macros, so that like you get an opportunity to learn, okay. Now, okay, you see here a is higher than 10 but lesser than 20. So now set a is 22. Now run the same thing. See here it's printing a is higher than 20, okay. So one such thing that we can actually use something similar is, for example, let's say you may have a slack which is kind of you know anything higher than say 100 ps, okay. Say slack greater than minus or lesser than 100 ps, okay, that means it is a worse than 100 ps. You might come to this particular loop and create a path group, okay, create a path group, and then apply higher weightage automatically, okay, higher weightage of say 10, okay. So higher weightage of 10, okay. Now in this case say your slack between minus 50 ps and between minus 50 ps and minus 100 ps. Now say here you might want to create a path group, okay, and weight of apply weight of say 6. So you can actually use all these if condition, else conditions, and uh, which can actually make you can actually learn, automate your whole things. So what usually we do in industry is when we do placement or something. See, we have a regular place opt, okay, that would actually do your first round of placement, and then you write your timing report, okay. Now parse this timing report, okay. Now get the start points and create now automatic path groups. Create path groups, create path groups automatically, and then say refine opt or refine placement, which can actually go for 2 rounds of placement. So I have done something like this. So first round it is kind of you're done. Now incrementally you wanted to do something depending on because your start point and end point may be different in each and every run. So you can actually create something automation like this. So first round of things done. Now write your timing report, or you can also use get timing paths. Okay, command. Okay, so create automated path groups on the fly, and then go for incremental opt. Okay, so uh, this is another practical scenario that you can actually work on it, where you can actually help others by giving the script and automated create automated path groups, defining what is the range and what should be the weight and etc. This is one of the practical scenario that I usually face in my executions. Okay, so you can actually use this else if, and then else, and all these things. Okay, okay. Any questions here? Okay, so there is a question here. It is which tool are you using for particular? I'm using ICC tool shell. I have got a license from Synopsys. We have a license from Synopsys, so all the tools. So I'm using ICC2, and I will be using Primetime. I have a DC cell and I have Fusion compiler as well. So I can use anything, and it could be any tool that you may have it, right? Say for example, Innovus, Genus, Fusion compiler, or any of that. Harsha, open source tool for tickle. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with open source tools. Open source for TCL is there are something like Active TCL, and then you can actually get install. Get your Linux thing CentOS or something which you can get it installed and use this way. TCL. So this is the best thing you can actually use this way. Okay.
Yeah, hi Kumar,
Yeah.
Praveen here.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, so here A will be get attribute, inside it get timing paths, hyphen clocks and maximum paths and slack, right? That kind only, right? It will be.
Uh, you can actually do that. So it is like kind of I could say. Okay. Let me just give this. Say update time. How the scripts file is sourced inside the tool. Shravan, I think you are following this thing. I have been doing this, no? I just done, say, you typed history, you have seen it, right? See here? This is the way we source the script, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so git, so all registers. Okay, let me just pick something. Okay, now say get timing paths. Okay, so say hyphen from, or say hyphen to.
Okay.
Okay, now you can just say get attribute, okay, and then say slack. Now you can actually put a condition that kind of is it a negative. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are, it's again, there are different ways of doing things, and this is one of the way I can say. Okay. Me
Okay.
normally what I do is write the timing report, and then go and parse that report so that like I know what I'm actually looking at it instead of me looping through everything. So I write, say, kind of, first 100 parts, top 100 part, violating parts, and then I get the start point and end point from the report, and I process it. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah. So there is another question. It is like kind of, okay. Create path groups. Can we define weightage? So in this tool, so the command is group underscore path. So you have a weight. You can actually define the weight. Okay. Yeah. So as that is actually you can do that. That's what I said. There are different ways. I have been doing all the possible ways, but people would get confused. So I am actually kind of limiting what I wanted to give it today. Okay. So if you wanted to run something here, okay, if you wanted to basically run this, say this tested article, so you know what? So you need to do the chmod plus X, okay, and then if you want to do this, so it will not take this because your environment is CSH. So what you need to do is, so you need to do this TCLSH. So you need to go this and then you know add this over here in the first line, okay. So now if you want to run this particular thing, now it will actually work on this way. But this is being the tool command, it won't be executed. Okay. Now, so this is another way where, so first thing is you have to define this, which is the environment or compiler that you want to use for executing it. Okay. You can actually get this all done. Okay. Okay. You see here, it is all kind of, it is executing the things here. You see here. So there are different ways you can actually execute. So this is one way. The second way is TCLSH test.tickle also will execute. Okay. Or when you have a TCLSH prompt, now you can actually source test.tcl that also would execute. And when inside the tool, we pretty much uh, use source file. Okay. Okay, so we'll continue because we'll we'll get back to the questions and answer sessions later. Okay. All right. Now, so if and if else condition is meant for only conditional checking, whether the value is particular thing or not, is equivalent to or certain conditions that you wanted to check. Now, let's say now you want to use this while loop. So what is this meaning? The continue that loop as long as the condition is true. This if else is kind of only one time. Okay. Now while loop is kind of used. Let's say you want to say set z is 10. Now what you can actually do here is while $z is say, or let me just say z is 1, as long as z is basically less than 10 or less than or equal to 10. Okay, continue that loop. Okay, so puts z is dollar z. Okay, now, and I want to increment it one by one, increment z by 1. Okay, now that means as long as this condition is true, it will actually keep executing this. Okay, okay, you see here it is z is 1 first time, next time 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10. Now the moment this condition became false, this loop is out. Okay, so in this condition, you if else condition, you would actually look at only the one time. Okay, is it less than 10 or no? Only one time. But here it continues. Okay, it continues. Okay, so we actually use this for reading the files and etc. So while loop is kind of used in everywhere, and I use this while reading the files. Okay, and then there is something called for and for each. So for is same as how it is used in the other say I would say C scripting, C programming. So I'm sure everyone would have learned C. So now say simple, say for, say kind of set I is 0. Okay, now dollar I is less than 10. Okay, now say increment I by 1. Okay, now puts dollar I. Okay, something like this. Okay, you see here it is actually same as while loop. Okay, it's just that different format. It's kind of prints, the loop is, as long as the loop is, the condition is true, the loop gets executed. Okay, so you can use either while or, so in while you're actually setting this here, whereas in for loop you'll actually set this here. Okay, and say there is a switch and case. Okay, so there is a question: how do you declare, decrease it by one? Say for example, now it's 10. So as long as greater than 0, you execute this. Let me just say this is for increment purpose. Now, if you want to decrement, so you can say it's kind of you start it with higher number and say greater than 0. Now increment it with by -1. Okay, you can actually do this way. Okay, you see here, so it is kind of 10, 9, 8 and 1. So this is actually the way to decrement. I use this way. Okay, okay, and we do have a switch case statements like how we have in other languages. So switch and case. Okay, so it is going to be the same. Say kind of say switch. Okay, let us say switch and say kind of dollar a. Say set a, or say let me give you a simple thing. Now a practical scenario could be, okay, say you want to define uncertainty, say pvt corner, say set pvt corner. Okay, say some corner ss and etc. Now switch, okay, dollar pvt corner. Okay, now see you say ss 0.95 volt and 125 c. Now you define your uncertainty something different. Okay, now ff, okay, 1.1 n40c. Okay, now define a different uncertainty. Okay, so you can actually use this switch case something to define your uncertainty. So because you may have a different blocks of the top level activities and all, they pretty much follow something like this. Okay, or even look at say switch, say kind of set macro, say sram xxxx. Okay, now switch dollar macro. Okay, now say srun xxx. Okay, say create keep out margin, keep out of zero point 0.5 all sides. Okay, now say srun xyy. Now keep out of 1 all sides. So this is how you can actually make use of this switch and case statement. So again, so there are different ways. Okay, so I use, so it depends what is that I wanted to make use of it. Okay, so if else if and all this, switch and if else if is same, you can say while and for is going to be similar. Okay, and for each is something that we would be using a lot when you have something called list. Okay, so I want to continue. I just wanted to quickly run through the slides and then start writing a script. I think we have covered this all. So lists. Okay, so this is the next important topic that is basically called list.
Hello,
Yeah, hi.
Kumar. This is Satish this side.
Yeah, hi.
Like to read the file from starting that what you said. That suppose one I need to read a file
We will do that.
that
Are you in a hurry?
encrypt.
Are you in a hurry? See, we have everything. We have pretty much everything that I will try to cover.
Acha, acha. Okay, sure.
Okay, now there is something called list. See, when you have a variable, normally when we define a variable, set A is 5. So there is only one value. Okay, now you want to define, say set B is basically 5, 10, 15. Now then this becomes, or this is treated as a list. Okay, this is treated as a list. Okay, so we actually use this list and their operations a lot in the tools. Okay, so let's try to go over it quickly. Simple thing, you know say for example here, say set a underscore, okay, or say t is basically, a b c d. Now this is basically a list. Okay, now I wanted to print this. Okay, $t. Okay, so it is kind of getting printed. Now I wanted to process this all one by one, one by one. Now, how I do that is I use something called for each condition. So for each, now I just say variable. That is the very name of the variable that I would be using inside. Okay. Now $t, that is basically a list. Okay. Now I just use this, say puts dollar variable and then do this. Okay, I just want to print something. Okay, so here I wanted to do something like this, info dollar variable. Okay, you see here, now I'm actually able to loop through each of the variable and then process it. Now let's say you want to know what is the, how many variables are there in this. Okay, how many variables are there in this, which is going to be kind of, you can say there are certain things, say kind of, say puts, you can say L length $t, it would actually print the number of elements in the list. So here we have one, two, three, four elements in the list. And then let's say now you want to take out particular element. Okay. So you want to take a particular element. We use something called L index. Okay, say puts L index, the dollar $t, and say 0. So it always starts with 0. So it is going to be say kind of 0, 1, 2, 3. So it is going to be say kind of 0. So you can actually take that. Okay. So okay, see here, first element I am able to pick it out. Now let's say you want to, okay, let me give you a simple assignment for you guys. Go and explore it. How do you print the last element or the last, okay, last element? How do you print your last element? And then now, let's say if you have a list, which is something like this, say list 1, which is having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I want you to print the middle element. That is one of your assignment. You can take it as a homework. Print the middle element if the print the middle element if the list is odd number. The list is kind of the total things odd number. If it is a odd number, so in this case it is going to be 5, right? The number of elements in this, if it is a odd number. Now print middle two middle two numbers if the given list is even. If the given list is even, that's your homework. You can give it a try. Okay. And again, there are a lot more operations which you might want to go and give a try. Say for example, let's say you want to swap certain things. Okay, say for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I want you to swap, let's say, or you want to swap this 3 with 6. How you do that? So these are all the commands that you can basically make use of it. Okay, so there is something called L replace. Okay, and then let's say you want to search certain element. Let's say you want to search for 4. Okay, search for 4 in this. You can actually use L search. Okay, and again L insert. You want to insert certain elements in particular location, so you can actually use that L insert to do that. So you can actually try practicing all that. Okay, and you can also have a nested list. Okay, you can also have a nested list. All right. Now in this case, okay, a quick thing. What is going to be number of elements here in this case? What would be number of elements?
3.
Okay, so it is going to be 1, 2, 3, and actually 4. Okay, but remember the element, this third element has a nested list. So when you extract it, this third element will have multiple things. Okay, all right. So moving on to the next one. Okay, so these are all list reversals. Strings. So the next thing that we have is a string. We, like in any other language, we also have a strings in Tickle as well. So you can actually use say string compare and then string index, and then you want to match some things, and then you can do all the kind of operations. And also you can also use something like kind of regular expressions and regular substitutions as well. Okay, if you want to find, if you want to find a particular pattern that you want to match, then you can basically use regular expressions. And you want to substitute something. Say for example, you have a line. Say you have a file like this. Okay, okay, say you have a line. Say assume this line is having say cell A, B, C, X, Y, Z, something like this. Now you want to find this ABC, you can use a regular expression that is called pattern matching, and then you want to find ABC and replace it with CDE. Okay, replace it with CDE. Okay, say simple, right? Like you may have ECOs. You may have, you might want to write ECO. Okay, say for example, you have a inst. Say what is that we do normally? Typically, we do is basically you have a size cell, that is a command. Say inst A and say buff x0. Okay, now you want to upsize this cell. What you can do is you can actually use this red sub. You can write your own, script where you can ECO, where you can actually identify x0. Okay, and then so replace it with x1. Okay, so you can actually make use of all these things in the writing your own ECOs. When you're close to the tapeworm. We normally don't go for tool-based ECOs. We manually do something. So write something, you can use the TCL regular substitutions, and you can come up with your own things. Okay, so you can make use of strings as well. Okay, so arrays I'm actually skipping because I want to give you something different. Arrays and proc. Okay, file operations. Let's say you have a file, the report file. Now you want to read that file. Okay, now what is that we do is it's basically we use, you know like any scripting language, file operations is one of the mandatory thing. Okay, okay, so what are the different files operations that we normally have? Say opening a file and reading it one by one using gets. Okay, and then you want to uh, write it into a file. It is a regular information, just that you need to put your file pointer and the information that you want to print and everything. Okay, so and when you are opening the file, there are different modes. One is the read mode, write mode, write, read plus or something, or write plus something. There are different modes of, you can open the files. Okay, so I normally use read and write. I normally don't use extra things unless otherwise I want to append it. Then you can say W plus. Okay, so let me just show you guys some things. I'm just trying to copy one file for you guys to show you. Just give me a minute. Okay, I have got the utilization report here. Okay, so this is my utilization report, that is at placement. Okay, now if I want to go through each of this line, now how can I read it and do the things? So let's go and look at it. Now see here, what I do is just do the set file path. Okay, that is a path for that file. Okay, so I just always use the file path, say file name here, Okay, now that is a file that I want to open. Now say set fp read, I want to read that. Okay, now just say open. Now dollar file, which one you want to read. Now if for reading purpose you don't need anything, okay, you can just keep it as it is. Okay, and then see, this both are actually same. Ideally, see, kind of, you can keep this, both are same. Okay, now how I wanted to read that is, so I want to read this, say kind of gets lines one by one. Now fp read, okay, fp read dollar fp read. Okay, now I wanted to assign this to a variable called, say, line, or say each line. Okay, now this supposed to be, say, kind of, greater than or equal to 0. That means if anything it is 0 or lesser than that, that means it's end of the file. Okay, so just say now puts dollar each line. Okay, now you are actually done with this. Now remember, when you open a file for reading, you should always close it. So this is the right method. If you don't close it, it is not, sometimes it won't work properly. So you see here, now the whole file is actually kind of printed here. I read the file, okay, here. This is the file path, and then this is what I actually, opened that file in, read mode, okay. And then I'm actually kind of, parsing one by one line, okay. And then just once I'm done with that, I'm just closing the file. Now, so this is just reading a file, okay. Now, my interest is, assume my interest is, say, this particular thing, the site unit. Only I want to print only this particular thing. Okay, now what I can do is I can actually make use of, say, if regexp, okay, say site, only that particular line I want, and dollar each line. Okay, if it matches, then I want to print this particular line. Okay, otherwise I don't want to print anything. Now say when you're processing the files, you can actually make use of it. Now you see here, instead of me printing every unwanted things, now I'm actually able to filter it out. Okay, now assume you want to print only this particular element, you don't want all this. Now what is that we can do? You can actually make use of that, set util is basically l index. Remember the list commands, right? So dollar each line. Okay, now just say it is going to be one, two, three, four or five. So let's see what it is printing. Okay, so you can actually make use of something like this. It is not printing anything. Let's see. Okay, you see here, now I am able to print only that particular number. So you can actually club everything, whatever that we have just covered till now. You can club everything and learn the whole things. The whatever that you wanted to print, you can actually do that. Now, let's say I want to print this in another file. Okay, say write file path. Okay, say just I want to do this only util.report. Okay, now I want to do this. Say I need to open that file in write mode. Okay, I just say this file pointer as a fpw and just say this as a w. Okay. Now, this particular thing, whatever that you want to print here, now you want to print it in the file. Now, the easy way is you need to just put your file pointer here, and then you are printing this in the screen, this particular line, and this particular line you are printing it in the output file. Okay, in this file. And then again, you need to close both the files. Okay, you need to close both the files. Now just let me just show you, I don't have any report in this area here where util.report. Now I'm just going to run this. Okay, I think it got over to okay. Okay, now I've just executed it. Now how we have got it, this particular element, we got this. Now go and see here, you have a util.report, which is kind of printing only this information inside the output file. Okay, so any question here on the file operations?
Uh, each line is a already predefined variable, Kumar.
No, you can keep anything. You can keep
Okay.
anything, doesn't matter. It's just any variable that you wanted to use inside.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Hi, sir.
Yeah,
When
hi.
can we change
I cannot hear your voice properly. I'm sorry.
am I audible? No.
Yes.
When do we use this command
No, let's say you
origin
might.
collection?
Sorry.
Origin collection when do we use origin collection?
We will do that. I'll give you a few minutes. No, I'll come to the next, the practical thing that I wanted to write. I will explain you. Okay. So that's on the files. Okay. Regular expressions. Yeah. Okay. So before we get into the things, I am actually, wanted to talk about the course that I'm coming up. So I would be having a EDA scripting mentorship launching, starting from next week or next to next week. I would be covering both TCL and Perl, how it is going to be, used, and you would be making sure you would be able to write each and every scripts. And duration is kind of 2 months, 8 weeks. So the timings are going to be 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Saturday, Sunday classes. And what is that you will get as a part of this is basically you will get a virtual VMs with Linux OS, so you can install in your own laptop and practice. And after 1 month, I would be enabling you the tool access for 1 month. So you will get an access of ICC or ICC2 for 2 weeks, and then PT for 2 weeks, and it would be completely a practical things. I would be just showing you in a while. You would be writing, or I would be just giving you a problems that you would be have to solve it with the help. I would be keep giving you hint, and I will guide you. And if you're stuck, I will review your code and everything. So it is completely a mentorship. It's not a kind of, I would say, training. It's a completely hand-holding mentorship that you would be, going through. And for a discussion, there would be a Telegram group where you can actually share all your things and everything. Okay, and the practical problems that we would be discussing, some of them that I have is, okay, say for example, like create placement blockages around the macros and path groups after your one round of placement, and then critical paths, swap all the cells to ULVT, and pre-place all the cells and get all the nets and route them using higher layer and highlight the macros based on MBIST controllers. And sometimes, you may have only the Verilog netlist. You might get started in the initial phase. You might want to create a left by yourself, so you can actually create your own left with the help of Verilog netlist. And all the, identify all the cells that are functionally equivalent from a given library, and then write your own timing ECOs. Okay, and then you have a timing violations, identify the high delay cells and replace them or swap them to LVT. And timing path summary, okay, write it in Excel format, and then parse all the hold reports and come up with the timing ECOs. Okay, so these are all some of them that you would be learning in the classes. And coming to this, something related to the macro, so these are all something that you can create it as a procs. So check all macros placed status, and fix all the macros, mark all the macros as a fixed. And then you want to change the attribute. Just so I want, it's kind of, you would be learning all of this in the form of a proc and everything. So it's like completely practicals. And you might ask me, there are all things are available. Yes, all are available outside, but there is nothing such things are available outside. I can see that. And so you would completely learn. And to support this learning, we would be enabling you the tool environment. Otherwise, you won't be able to check whether it is actually working or not. Okay. So if any of you are interested in learning, you can get in touch with me. I will help you out. Okay. So the fee is 10K. Because we are providing tool and complete mentorship. It is hand holding, and I'm sure we would be giving kind of the knowledge that you would be actually making use of it in the industries from day one. Okay. So
Kumar, how we can enroll for this course?
get in touch with me. You can I'll share my numbers. You can get in touch with me.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Thanks.
You might have got an email or something in that, my numbers and contact details. You can actually find it. Okay. I think I wanted to show the scripts. It's not that I wanted to promote this, but I wanted to show you guys so that like you learn something before you leave from this session. Okay. So let's do this. I want to first get all the macros and check whether they are placed or fixed. Okay, now see, look at this particular guy. It is kind of the physical status is placed. Okay, now this particular macro physical status is fixed. Now I want to report for all such things. Okay, I want to report. Now how can we do that? So the first thing that okay, let's go and pick a file. So macro.tcl. Okay, now the first thing that you need to learn is get the macros that are kind of whatever the macros that are present in the design. Say here, now the first thing is the get cells is the command, okay, that we use, hierarchical star. Okay, now it reports all the cells. Now there is something called hyphen filter. Okay, here there is a attribute. Okay, you can see all these attributes on the left and the values on the right. So the moment you come over here, you will have something like kind of is hot macro, is command. Okay, now you see here there is something called is hot macro. If it is a macro, it is going to be true. If it is a standard cell, it would be false. So now with this, I would be actually filtering it out. Okay, see, is hard macro equal to true. Okay, now I would be getting all the macros. So this is the first thing that I would be just say set macro list. Now I have to put this in a square bracket where I get all the informations in this variable, or it's basically a list. Now, okay, now how many macros that we have here? Okay, now there is a list that we have actually talked about, right? So now remember, this set macro list is kind of not a list. It is basically a kind of say L length dollar macro list. It is not a list, it is basically a collection. So anything that you want to do with collection, it's basically a size of collection. Okay, dollar macro list, it is going to be, now we have a 40 macros. Okay, now, so collections, right? So anything, any output, say for example get cells, okay, or get nets, okay, or get pins, the output of these commands all are treated as a collections. Okay, now to work on those collections, you need to have the, you have to use the command with the collection. Say here you can see it like kind of add to collection, append to collection, for each in collection, and index collection, remove from collection, report collection, size of collection. So size of collection is to get the number of objects. Okay, and now I want to check each macro status. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to loop through. So for T's, for the regular list, we use for each, but here we have, kind of for each in collection, where you can actually use so each macro. So I use this kind of variables, so that like it's easy for me to understand. You can also use anything. Okay, so there is need not be necessary that you have to follow me. Okay, now see here, I just want to print, say the name. So kind of say set inst name. So any macro that you take, there are two things that you will have it. One is basically the name, instance name. So the base name, or basically you kind of say full name or something. Yeah, full name. That is going to be your name of the cell, and then you will have something called ref name. Okay, so the ref name is going to be your name of the macro. The cell of that particular macro. Okay, so now, okay, so now what I want to do is get object name, or say you can say kind of get attribute dollar each macro the full name, that would be the name of that instance, and then you will have the ref name, reference name, that is going to be here the cell name, ref name. Okay, okay, and then you want to find the physical status. Okay, so if you just scroll up little, you will have it like kind of the physical status. Okay, so now, so the next one variable I'm defining it, physical status. So you have to put this as a physical status. Okay, now I want to print all these informations in terminal. Okay, say dollar inst name slash t, and then dollar ref name, okay, slash t, and then dollar physical status. Okay, and then now just close this. Okay, let's run and check what it is printing. Okay, you see here it is actually printed all these macros, and there is a one macro which is kind of placed. Okay, one macro which is kind of placed. Got it? Now,
How we can group these attributes for a single macro and print them?
I did not understand. So this is exactly what I'm actually printing. No, for one macro, I'm printing each and everything.
I mean to say, for a macro status, inst name, ref name, and physical status. Then we go for the second macro like that. If we
Yeah,
want to go,
that is what we are doing.
uh, I mean to say, Kumar, let's say we have 40 macros, so we are physical status we are getting for 40 macros, then we are going for ref name and inst name, like that, right? So
No,
for a particular
no.
macro I want to go inst name, ref name, physical status, and then for second macro I need to go for the these three attributes in that way.
This is exactly what we are doing, Praveen. Aren't you
Uh-huh.
seeing this? This is actually one macro. I'm actually taking everything, printing it, and then I'm going to the next macro.
Okay. 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 Come on.
Whatever you're asking, that is exactly what I'm actually doing. See, you may get into one macro first. Get the
Sorry,
macro.
sorry, Kumar. My screen was a little bit faded, so because of that, I couldn't see. Now I'm able to see them. Yes, correct. Yes, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Now, say this is one way. So this is way you can actually go and figure it out. All that. And now let's say you want to change the attribute to. Let's say if it is a placed, you wanted to convert them. Now, how do you do that? Say for example, now I'm actually changing few macros that actually I'm kind of marking it as a placed.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is placed. Now how I can actually fix it? Now see, I can actually do this way only to the macros that are actually kind of print only those macros that are kind of having the placed attribute. Okay, so if, okay, now dollar, okay, so regexp, or you can say like kind of, okay, dollar phi status equal to placed. Okay, now print them, otherwise don't bother anything. Okay, okay, now let's see what it is actually printing. Okay, it is actually printing only the macros which are kind of placed. I'm not worried about fixed because they are all already fixed. So now, should we actually mark it fixed? Okay, this is basically you can write it as a report. So macro play status. So you can actually kind of go and open a file, say set fpw. Okay, you can say kind of say open macro
Status.
status dot report. Okay, and say write mode. Okay, and
Okay.
then now put this information in a file. Okay, dollar fpw. Okay, and then just say close dollar fpw. You are actually writing it as in the report. Okay, now if you go on to check here, you have something called macro status dot report, which will have all these things written inside. So this is how we actually write a script and then put it in a report so that the users can actually review them. You guys are getting it?
Yeah, getting.
So it's like if you guys look at right in this one script, you are actually learning the how to get the macros, and then file pointers, how to write it or how to make use of write it in a file. Okay, and how to loop through each of them. Okay, and you are also using this place, the if state, if loops. Okay, so you can actually make use of things, whatever that I have walked to you through. You have to put everything together and in the script and make use of that. Okay, okay, so I think pretty much we are kind of done. So there are a lot of questions in the chat box. I can actually try to help. If you guys have questions, you can go ahead and ask me.
Uh, yeah, Hi, Kumar.
Hi.
Can we differentiate between list and collection?
Yeah, you can actually see there is
Maybe
a
I'm
kind.
asking of those two.
No, no, I did not understand. What is the meaning of differentiate between list and a collection? See, it is you can actually convert that list into a collection. Okay,
Yes,
so
there
there
is a
is a
variable called collection to list, I think.
yeah, right, exactly. So collection tool is yeah, you can
Yes.
actually make use of that. But I normally don't go that all the things. I actually use the collections commands only directly. Why would I need to convert that into a very list and then again do a lot of things? Okay. Uh, so for each is basically meant for regular list. For each in collections, anything that you get the tool commands, get cells, get pins, get nets, that will actually return something on that. The return they return the output from these commands is called the collections. Okay, say simple, right? When I run this, you will see this would be kind of returned as a collections. That's why we say collection commands. When you are working with the tool, you should be using the collections. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So there is a okay. I think I have answered. How to make the placed to fixed. Okay. So if you want to make the placed to fixed, what you need to do is basically you need to say set attribute physical status. Now you can just say you can say like kind of set attribute play status to fixed. Okay, you can say puts marking $inst name status to fixed. Okay, so now it will automatically would be a fixed. Okay, you can see here this is having a placed attribute. Now I'm just marking it as a thing. Now if you go here and check, you see here all of them kind of got the fixed attribute. It was before it was kind of placed attribute. So you can actually set attribute, get attribute, and all that you can basically make use of it. Okay, different between arrays and lists. Okay, uh, so I had the things think associative arrays. Yeah, this particular slide is basically is kind of so arrays is basically list is basically what is meaning is you have a variable, say set a, you have multiple values. Okay, now what is the meaning of arrays is basically set a b. So you can actually have one variable, but inside that variable there could be multiple things. This is something that we call it like kind of arrays. Okay, so it is people call it associative arrays. Okay, associative arrays, and we use this a lot. You will learn everything in the mentorship. This we use this a lot. All these arrays and then regular expressions. So you will not just simply use this if else and all, where you would actually learn to a deep level. I would say you can be a kind of CAD engineer. So that level of coverage you will get in the mentorship. Any other questions before we sign off? Missed session, can we get the recordings? I will try to upload it, guys. I will, I think I'm recording it. So uh, if it is
Hi,
not crashing, then I will be able to upload it.
hi, Kumar. I'm audible.
You are audible.
Yeah, you have told like there is one means another session you are going to do for it's for 10K. Then which tools are you going to use?
I would be using this tool. So it's like kind of ICC or ICC2. It can be anything. And then prime time. So complete PD related and STA related. And even I do have the DFT related as well. So in case if people want something, I can actually work out on that. So it's end of the day, the problems are thrown to you. You would actually learn, use the tool and learn it, practice it as much as that you want. But remember, I won't be covering any of the PD or STA concepts. It would be the whole thing would be even the tool that you can actually use it only for the scripting scope only. Okay. Sorry, if you have a tools, your environment is different, my environment is different, so you can use it. The thing is that I want you to listen to me first, then you go on repetitive in your environment, because whatever the reports that I have, you may not have it in your environment, so the fee is going to be the same.
Yeah, because we are using Innova's tool. Means
I
mainly
will
like
help you out with the command. See, it doesn't matter whatever the tools are. Okay, so the collections are same. It's just that, to be honest, in my office I'm using Innovus too. So I'm from my day one of my career, I'm working Cadence environment. Okay, so I can actually help you on that as well. So it is the end of the day. What I'm going to do here is, in case if you're joining the mentorship, I would want to ensure that you learn the course, you learn the programming, and you learn irrespective of the tool. You get the logics, how you can look at, how you can parse the file, and how you can actually print only certain portion of it. How you can actually identify high delay cells in the timing reports, and then how you can actually automatically process the things directly in the tool. So there are a lot of things that we would be actually doing, and not only that, how you can be a CAD engineer. So what is the way that you should write a scripts, and how you can actually give it to people. So that level of things that you would be getting.
so when we started,
Sorry, I did not get your question. It's not so clear.
when it will be started,
So it will
this
be.
course.
I'm actually looking to start from next week or next to next week, just in hardly a week or two.
So thanks.
Yeah,
Hello, Kumar, what is the fee structure?
yeah.
Fee
It is
course.
a 10K plus GST. It would be actually.
Okay. Again, after these 8 weeks, again you start new batch or only this batch together?
No, I had this batch last year, and see, this is actually not my regular sessions, which I actually have my PD guys who are actually kind of joined the companies, and they are actually asking me for session. So that is how I am actually thought, okay, I will do it. So I had a last year March the similar session. Now this year again, I'm kind of trending the same way. I don't know when I will be doing this batch again,
Okay.
because I have actually a PD mentorship that is actually high priority, and that doesn't mean that this is not high priority. This actually, if there are people, if I have good amount of people, we can definitely do that. But there's something that people would be kind of very less, and but I need to put a lot more effort than PD actually for this. That's the main thing, because uh, individuals will you will have your own problems that you will have to discuss, and I have to guide you. So it's too much of effort that my bandwidth is being consumed. That's why I actually limit this course. Uh, but when I launch it, you will actually learn everything for sure. So there is nothing that I will be looking at my bandwidth. But so next batch, I'm not sure. Yeah, I do have a PD mentorship, so I have complete make flows and everything. So I have written my own flows. So if you guys wanted to check, I have written my own flows where.
Hi Kumar, just would like to refer friends who wants to learn the things. So for a PD mentorship, how what will be the charge for the course?
Okay, let me just share it. What is the first thing, so that like you guys know what is that I cover in PD mentorship first.
Okay.
So the thing is that here I am the trainer. Okay, so I have a 20 years of experience and 15 years in mentoring, and I have currently working as a senior manager, taking care of different multiple projects, working for an MNC. Okay, so the syllabus is kind of the complete basics all the way from digital CMOS and Linux basics and everything, including PDK and your libraries, SDC development, STA and everything. And then I would be going and into implementation where we cover synthesis, basic STAs, how do you do preload STA and everything, and introduction to DFT, what is the meaning of scan chain, scan shift, scan capture, what is the meaning of scan chain reordering and all that. So this complete PD steps, and then we actually have got the advanced topics also. So it is kind of timing closure in terms of sign off checks, timing closures, ECU implementation, LEC, IREM, and then advanced topics. You have got PV fixers, DRC, LVS, and everything that we fix it. And then I do cover basics of tickle scripting and low power methodologies and advanced STA, kind of OCV, POCV, AOCV, and LVF. And then I do cover FinFit and what are the floor plan challenges. And people would learn, the make flows, how industry operates, and LSF kind of concepts. And then, I have written my own flow here. Okay, so you guys can see this all. So I can actually, run. So you will see my make flows here, the complete targets, and you will have the stages that are kind of defined here. So you will, if when you get a chance to learn here, in case if you enroll, so you will not just learn only PD concepts and practicals. You would also go through the flow. That is how how the industry is executing and everything. So including your sign off, everything that you will actually we have a make targets that are kind of I have written my own. So it's not that I have someone else have done it or copied from somewhere. These are all my own flow that I have written. Okay, so you can get in touch with me. The fee is 60,000 plus GST for PD mentorship.
Okay.
And I have a
And
hardly
then
batch of
I just want.
maximum 20
Okay.
people in a batch, not beyond that. And my mentorship is again every 4 or 5 months once. So it is I don't have every month batches and all.
That 4 or 5 months will be only in weekends.
Yeah, only on weekends. And
How
we do
much will be the
have
time duration?
3 hours plus 3 hours, Saturday and Sundays, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay, fine. And these won't be a recorded sessions, right? It will be like live sessions,
Live,
right?
how you have seen me covering now the same way.
Oh,
And
okay, fine.
I do give people recordings for a few weeks. That is applicable for TCL also. Uh,
Oh,
so whatever that I'm going to cover. So recording is something that I would give it because I want I'm not worried about my content. I want people to learn, go through it. Not everyone will get it in one shot. So I give them some time to go through it so that like they understand it more than one time. They can go through it and learn it.
okay. Yeah. Thanks. Got
Can
it.
provide any job opportunities?
Get in touch with me, please. I can help you out. So I'm not sure if you guys got my number. So let me just give my number. You guys can see I do have a couple of openings. See, I work with different companies. Okay, so you can get in touch with me if you are looking for any kind of opportunities also. So don't even if you're whether you're enrolling the course or not, that and all is secondary. So don't bother. So that is my number and my name is Kumar. So you can get in touch with me actually. In case if you're looking for any, uh, if you are actually kind of experienced or something, and then yeah. So 83108 58699 is my number.
Hi, Kumar.
Hi.
When will this PD mentorship will start?
It just started actually in the combinational circuits that are being covered.
So when we can enroll
Now you
at
can enroll. So any of you want to look at it, how the PD mentorship. So the same way how see, let me tell you, it is the whole thing is practicals. I don't believe in theory part because theory is available everywhere. Uh, it is
we can call with your number, this mobile number, or
yeah.
from
You can get in touch with me on either WhatsApp or you can call me later as well.
on which tool is it? Like which tool?
We have synopsis tools, complete synopsis tools.
Okay. It's 60, right?
I did not understand. Yeah, you can just get in touch with me. I'll help you out.
No, means the cost is 60, right?
Yeah, right.
Thank
Chintamani, you can get in touch with me, please. See, it may be a case by case. I can actually, I will try to work with you. Okay.
you.
Okay. So